Now, that does not mean someone needs to put their hands on you or throw a water bottle at you. That's a trigger for me. That would have had me. I would have been like, I'll see that nephew when he's 18. I'm done. Because I don't like being hit. You know what I'm saying? Because once someone hits me, it takes me back to a childhood thing where I'm kind of like, oh, now, like if you could hit me, you could try to kill me. I honestly believe that.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Melanin.
And I'm BELEAF Mel.
And we're here with episode 242 of
How Married Are You? Okay, my name is BELEAF. This is very married. 14 years. Live in California. We got four
kids.
Relationship scary is very necessary. Share all of our struggles. Ask how married are you? Every Tuesday and Thursday, shy.
Sometimes.
If you're listening, you're in the wedding party. It's okay if you want to put your hands up. You got the questions. We got the answers.
It's chocolate baby story time.
Chocolate baby story time.
It's chocolate baby story time.
1, 2, 3, and
it's chocolate baby story time.
I got one. So yesterday, I was sitting here and I was doing all this stuff, and some of the work I was doing in the office is so small, but it's very detailed and it takes a lot of time. So I was trying to get things organized, and I realized I don't have a dresser drawer. But Uriah had a dresser drawer that we bought that did not work for his room. So
It's
I was
not
like,
a dresser drawer, but it's like a desk.
can I finish my story? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to have the kids build this dresser for me because they've been building dressers and stuff like that. And Yvette, I was like, should I tell them that they can watch afterwards or whatever? And I was like, you know, I'm just going to tell them to do it and see what they do. They're going to hook me up like I be hooking them up all the time. And they just end up doing it. So halfway through the process, Theo comes back with a piece and he goes, Dad, this right here broke. And I'm like, well, why are you telling me? Why are you telling me about that? He was like, well, what do you want me to do with it? I was like, I don't know, but I gave you a dresser and you're giving me a problem. I asked for a dresser back. Don't give me a problem. Fix it. They go in there. I get an ugly dresser, essentially. Like,
You were trying to find a politically correct.
yes, yes. I get a bad dresser, man. I get a dresser with some defects. So I was like, all right, well, at least you guys got an experience. I'm sure that won't happen again. And now I got this ugly dresser, y'all. But I'd rather them learn together than have 85% of a dresser than 100% will be by myself and like thinking my kids are good for nothing, you know? So
There goes that seasoning you was talking about.
A little bit of seasoning.
I'll keep mine short and sweet. Yesterday morning, Anaya and Uzi like slept in or whatever. And Raya and Uzi share a room, and I was like, Raya, is Uzi still asleep? And he goes, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? He's like, he slept on the floor in Anaya's room.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's so cute because they used to share a room, and even so, ever since Uzi was born, Anaya and Uzi have shared a room.
Yeah.
And then last year when we were living on the farm, we tried to give Anaya her own space, and she didn't love it. She was like, I want to be with my brothers.
Yeah.
And like, I think we kind of talked about the configuration of that room, but then we ended up swapping Anaya and Theo out so that it was Anaya, Uzi, and Raya sharing a space, and then Theo kind of had his own space, but it was one big space in total. And so it seems like those two are just best buds and they don't know what to do without each other.
Yeah.
And I just love it for them.
Yeah. Yeah. They are very connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So
And she was at his birth. I think it stems from like she helped bring him into the world.
Yes. Very true. All right. Yeah, welcome back, guys. We usually go through emails right now, but I do want to invite you guys to purchase if you're in a relationship or in a deep connection with somebody and you want it to grow. There's something really important that helps relationships grow, and it is mentors. And sometimes, you'll have a mentor for yourself, mentor for your health, mentor for your business. You may have a manager or whatever, but not a lot of people think about mentor couples as coaches for their relationships. And we want to kind of be that for you. So because we've been talking about actually mentoring a few couples who've reached out to us, but before we can even do that, you have to go through the Premarital Advantage. The Premarital Advantage is like 10 modules that just help you go through just regular stuff that conversations you should be having in your relationship. Now, sometimes love is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? It is a very awesome thing to experience. And but like Eve said, love is blind and it can take over your mind. You know what I'm saying? And you may not be able to get through.
Why did I think you were talking about Eve from the Bible? You was talking about Eve.
Nah, man. Nah. Eve from the Bible ain't really say much.
She didn't. I was like, what'd she say?
The thing that Eve said was, nah, the snake said we can have this. We good.
Oh my gosh.
But Eve, from my generation,
yes,
said love is blind and it can take over your mind. And sometimes you guys are in love and you have all the feelings and all the emotions, but you don't have any of the common sense that comes along with that. And so these modules, if you watch them together, watch them with your partner, watch them, it'll give you good conversations to have during dinner, good conversation to have during your dating, to figure out if you're making the right decision and this is something you truly want to do. Because right now we get a lot of emails about women who are in these relationships with these men and they trying to figure out, how did I get myself into this? And the reason why is because they didn't ask any of these questions. They didn't have these conversations beforehand. So that's my pitch. So go to the website, howmarriedareyou.podcast.com, and you will learn a lot about us, your auntie and uncle here. And also you don't want to be referred to as an auntie.
I don't know. I didn't.
You are an auntie.
I'm an auntie.
Yeah. You are an auntie. When you bend down, your knees crack. You are an auntie. It's always been that way.
Why you put my business out there?
It's always been that way. I'm sorry. Yeah. Learn a little bit about us, but make sure you purchase the course and help us afford more SD cards. All right, Ben, we're ready.
All right. Speaking of emails, we have been receiving the same tune for a while, so I have decided to break it up a little bit. We're changing it up this time. We're still talking about relationships, but we're talking about some sister beef. Okay. Let's get into it. I know you typically discuss romantic relationships, but I have a dilemma I would love to hear your thoughts on, especially given that you have siblings. We have siblings indeed.
Yeah, we got them. We got siblings, all right. Yeah.
My sister and I are quite different, as am I with my brothers, and you with your siblings.
Yeah.
About a year ago, we launched a podcast discussing our life experiences as Black millennial women. It was fun at times, but working with her was challenging because she likes things done a certain way. We've had tiffs when we were pre-recording. I was hoping the first season would be more of a pilot, but she wanted to invest money to professionalize it. I was responsible for sharing the reels on social media and uploading and editing full episodes on YouTube. Last August, after the podcast ended, she came to the house to pick up our mother, who had intensive knee surgery. We were chatting and I mentioned I was working on my other YouTube channel. She scolded me for forgetting to upload the last 2 episodes and emphasized the importance of following through. She wasn't wrong, and I just listened and apologized. Months before, I had already wanted to drop out of the podcast, but was wrestling with it. It was a cool concept, but I realized it's hard to do business with family members, especially someone who has harbored animosity toward me since childhood. I don't feel comfortable delving too deeply, but she would berate me about who I am and what I do. When I expressed my discomfort with how she spoke to me, it was dismissed as you're sensitive and don't know how to take constructive criticism, which I can, just be respectful while you're giving it. When I mentioned I was considering leaving the podcast, she said, "This is going to hurt your feelings, but I never had the full confidence in you." I was heated. Voices started to get louder to the point where my mom intervened. She asked what happened, and I said, "I'm not doing this effing S anymore," referring to how my sister treats me. I tried to go upstairs to cool off so I wouldn't say something I'd regret, but as I'm walking away, my sister threw a water bottle in my direction and got in my face as as if she wanted to fight. My mom had to come between us. The mom that just had knee surgery? Lord Jesus. She went off about how I'm not a real adult. Mind you, I have my degrees, I pay my bills, help my mother with bills, and assist with my brother who has severe autism, even though he lives in a group home. I told her she's been a bully and mean and thinks she's better than me because of her achievements. She has a family, a beautiful house, and makes great money. I'm happy for her, but don't belittle my life because it's different. My mom took her side, which intensified my anger because my sister has always been her favorite. When I mentioned how our mother has treated me and my brother very differently from how she treats my older sister, we have different dads, she said I shouldn't say that since my sister is pregnant and accused me of having wicked ways. Oh, my Lord. It's been almost a year, and we don't talk much except she visits our mom. She'll try to text me memes, but I'm not going to act like nothing happened. Right after the fight, I knew Glenn was going to be triggered by that. Right after the fight, I expressed wanting to get family therapy, but she shut me down, saying she was focused on her pregnancy at the time and commit to multiple sessions. I'm thinking she was trying to say and couldn't commit to multiple sessions. I went to therapy again for myself. My nephew is now 8 months old. Before he was born, I attended her baby shower, even though we were beefing, and visited the hospital when she gave birth. Even went to their house for Thanksgiving with her in-laws. I used to call weekly to speak to my older nephew, but now it's only on special occasions. I'm still hurt about what happened. Older sister or not, pregnant or not, you don't throw something at someone and get in their face to fight. When I told my mom, she said, well, the water bottle did not hit you. And, and you said the F word. Oh, Lord. To me, time isn't an apology, and we both have things we need to talk about. I have no problem putting my pride aside and acknowledging where I went wrong, but she needs to do the same. My mom has been saying the devil has been busy, family is what we have, and that I need to let go and get over it. But I feel like that's toxic if things haven't been resolved. We have to go on a family trip soon, and part of me wants to talk because I'm still harboring some resentment. For me, it's all about respect. I would love to hear your thoughts. Much love.
Oh, God. Jesus. Help him. Help him, Lord. Oh, man. I feel. Oh, man. They are very different. Let me see them again. Let me see the other one. You turn it slightly.
Oh, she sent pictures of.
They are very different. Whoa. Well, what can we say about that? That was a lot. I identify with everybody in there.
Mm-hmm. Wait. Okay, yeah, I can see.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead. I'd love to hear what you have to say.
No, I like what she said about, to me, time does not heal. What is it? What did she say exactly?
Hold on, you're going to the end.
I know. I just need, that was a really good point because I feel like I used to live in that. You know, let's just let time and space happen and then we can.
Yeah, as soon as they get close to me, I start heating back up.
Yes.
Start radiating off.
That is true about you.
I remember.
That is so you.
Okay, so let me just say one thing, man. Doing podcasts with family is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Doing podcasts as a husband and wife is hard because you think about marriage or life and they're like, oh yeah, you do what you got to do. I do what I got to do. And then even in parenting, it's like, oh yeah, you'll do this and I'll do this. Right? Obviously, I can feed the baby, but I can't breastfeed the baby. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When you're doing a group project together, everybody don't have the same energy toward the project, and that can be a problem in the relationship. And that is why we've been doing this podcast for almost 8 years, and we only have 240 episodes because sometimes it's hard for us to figure out who's doing what, who's responsible for what. So let me just say that the skill in podcasting is talking. And if you're talking to someone who has communication, you have communication problems with, or you don't talk with normally, then you're gonna have a problem. And once you figure out that you have that problem with that person, you're like, I don't gotta stand for this. But in marriages, it's different. Because you do gotta stand for it. And you gotta work through all that. But with a sibling, you're like, man, I'm not willing to do all this and be irritated all the time for no views and no money. You know what I'm saying? Or at the expense of making people think something is good and it's not. The risk. Are you holding your mouth because you have something to say? I want you to cut me off.
No.
Oh, I want you to say something in regards to this, because I feel like we've learned a lot here. But I do think that your experience in the podcast thing is not abnormal. It's very normal for you guys to be like, I'm out. I don't want to do this. Because I think Yvette and I both been there.
Mm-hmm. You've been there a lot. Yeah.
I've been there a lot. And I don't feel like I quit, but I'm just kind of like, look, I'm not trying to do this.
I think it's especially hard when it doesn't make money. Like, this podcast doesn't make us money.
Yeah, but it's not that it doesn't make us money. It helps a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's not about that, but I think that it's like, for us in the past, we've been through this podcast and we've gotten to moments of tension where it's like, I don't even know if I like you. And it's like, is it worth the tension and strain it's putting on our relationship?
Yeah.
Even if
if
it's helping people,
right.
But especially if it's not making us any money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's not a stream of income. And it's crazy too to think that we've been doing it for 8 years and it isn't a stream of income. No,
but I think that it is part of a therapeutic process to where, we can go back and see the growth and be like, oh, I was tripping. Or
I don't like to go back, actually.
I can't believe we talked about that. Or I can't believe I said that. But the relationship that you have should always submit. The content should always submit to the relationship. That's a rule. The content submits to the relationship. Should I film that? Should we talk about this? Should we put this out? It has to submit to the strength of the relationship. Is this going to be a problem? How am I going to feel about this? I'm going to resent you for that. And then the comment section can be a worse, like, fuel to the fire. Like, it can be kindling. You know what I'm saying?
It sure can.
Because people always got something to say. You know what I mean? But that is just a part of the process. So yeah. What do you have to say, babe?
Well, I think she's more so talking about, yes, the podcast was a part of it, but there is something underlying going there where one sibling thinks they're better than the other, and has always been belittling and talking negatively to her. And so it sounds like what I am proud of her for is it seems like she has a very clear understanding of who she is and who she's not, and she's standing on that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is something that should be respected. I think, it's hard to talk to people when they've got opinions.
Say more.
About, because it seems like is her sister older? Yeah. Her older sister. I also think it's interesting that she mentioned that they had different dads.
No, but that is totally relevant. You don't think so?
I'm curious if it is relevant because the mom, the older sister is the only one who has a different dad, and her and her brother have the same father, I'm assuming. And so that means that the older sister's father was the first guy who left. He gone. I don't know where the second dad is, but usually,
Usually the one that's older is the one you can't stand.
Yeah. That's usually the one that's the outside.
Hello.
That's usually the one that's like the, no offense, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be whatever.
Yeah, the black
And
sheep.
that's not necessarily true for our household either, because my older brother has a different father than me and my younger brother. I think my younger brother is the favorite.
But I think now that I'm experiencing children,
nobody has favorites.
No, the younger one is just treated different. It's not about being favorite.
Yeah.
It is just like, man, just go ahead. You let him do this? You ain't never let me do this. Man, I'm tired. Both of y'all, go ahead. Get away. Now you coming at me with that. See, now that's why I'll let you do nothing. Get out of my face. Go in your room. Mom, can I have a... I love you, Mom.
Babe,
okay.
Listen. Let's really quick. Let's do an extended Chocolate Baby story time. So yesterday, it was like 1 or 2 o'clock, and our days have been starting so much later lately. But it was lunch. The kids were like asking me, "Mom, can I have a snack? Mom, can I have a snack?" I was like, "No, you need to have lunch. Go make yourself a lunch." Then I walk into the kitchen, and Raya is sitting there eating a bowl of grapes. And I'm like, "Raya, you need to have some lunch. You need to make yourself some food." And then Uzi goes, "Mom, can I have a fruit bowl for lunch?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then Theo and Raya look at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
Because, and the reason I said yes is because Uzi knows how to make his own fruit bowl. I don't have to be a part of the experience. And so I didn't feel like, whatever. And fruit bowls can be very filling and healthy and whatever. But Ryan and Theo, the way they looked at me was like, "Are you serious right
Yeah. There's definitely a problem. But I will say for sure that the order, the child's dad does matter.
Yeah.
Especially if you're being raised in a single parent home type thing. Like it does matter.
Well, what I was trying to say is that, like, the older sister has an opinion. She has thoughts and feelings about who this woman is. But this woman knows exactly who she is and who she's not. And she's standing on that. And I think that that is something to applaud. I do think that there does need to have a conversation, because there are a lot of times in many families, and this isn't just a certain type of family, it's just in many families, we try to sweep things under the rug, or we try to just move past things as if they don't, exist. What is it? Some people have described it as a speed bump versus a actual like hill
Stop
or
sign?
mountain that needs to be.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like some of us like to treat it like it's a speed bump that we trip over, but it's actually something much bigger that we need to like address and deal with, because it's just going to show up again in a different way. And this woman sounds like she like misses her nephews. I don't remember if she had what the second baby was. You know what I mean? Like she wants to be an active auntie. She seems like she's very much so like caring for her family, loving her family and all the things. And so the question, I believe, is, what did she say? Oh, she just said she wants to hear her thoughts.
I'd love to hear from the other sister. Now, this is just me. If they started a podcast and she listened to the podcast, it's highly likely that they both listen to our podcast. So I would love to hear from the other sister. The problem, though, I feel like, is that, man, this girl, there's one thing. You can't quit everything you start. Like, you can't do that. That is, like, people have that opinion about you, and it might actually be true, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. Like, you may be somebody who just is kind of like, I don't want to do it anymore. I think I'm over it. And then people get their feelings hurt about it. Now, that does not mean someone needs to put their hands on you or throw a water bottle at you. That's a trigger for me. That would have had me. I would have been like, I'll see that nephew when he's 18. I'm done. Because I don't like being hit. You know what I'm saying? Because once someone hits me, it takes me back to a childhood thing where I'm kind of like, oh, now, like, if you could hit me, you could try to kill me. I honestly believe that. You know what I'm saying? So once I become someone's punching bag, I'm out. It's just a hard no for me. So I get that. I do think that there's a lot of negative talk about you surrounding you, especially since your mom was like, yo, well, you cursed at her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that was kind of like they playing with you, man. And I'm going to be honest. Once babies start entering the equation, people get, that is a bargaining chip. That's
Yeah.
like, that is different. Like, people start acting different when people start having babies, because they're kind of like, well, if I don't agree, they won't let me see the baby no more. You know what I'm saying? Or I can't be around or whatever. Like, people care about that type of stuff. So I would just understand what's happening here. You know, I remember one time I got into it with, you know, a family member so bad. I was like, man, you can't call me a bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just can't do that. And they're like, man, I can call you whatever I want. You're my such and such. I can call you whatever I want. And I was like, look, if you do that, I don't care if I have kids. I am never seeing you again. I'm never talking to you again.
Mm.
And I was ready to stand on that. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as them kids came around, it was like nothing ever happened. You know? I was like, well, I don't want them not to be involved.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But now, if I could do it all over again, I would stand on that. You know, I would stand on that. Because a part of my, and this is so interesting, because this is something that the Lord has been speaking to me, right? Like, I don't want to be led by my flesh. Like, I don't want to be led by my feelings, my emotions, my pride, even my past. I don't want to be led by that. I want to operate in the spirit, which I notice is a powers and principalities thing. These are things that people have struggles with and they are dealing with for years. And this is a sin issue, right? So it's not something that, like, our flesh is literally just at war with each other. And it's also a spiritual thing that we're going back and forth with. So I'm looking at the whole situation. I'm like, I don't want to be led by my flesh, but also all flesh don't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, my lip is more sensitive than my hands. You know what I mean? Like, so some areas of my flesh are way more sensitive than others. Mm-hmm. And because it's sensitive, if I get hit there, I'll bleed immediately. Like, I'll just bleed. You know what I'm saying? So as a way to protect my own flesh from bleeding, I'm going to keep my guard up. I'm going to keep my guard up. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bob and weave. Like I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting out the way from something that can be harmful to me, which is a blow to my flesh. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, if someone hits me. So, and that hit can then trigger another spiritual warfare to where I'm dealing with a hate. I'm dealing with cursing this person and hoping that they fail and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can get there. So if I were you, not telling you to listen to me, I wouldn't even go on a family vacation. Personally. You know
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't, because, but I'm saying that you are right for trying to say, hey, we need to talk about this. We need to get therapy. We need to, but people really ain't trying to heal.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about the family trip is I feel like it is a bummer sometimes when one relationship starts to get in the way of you being able to be in relationship with other members of your family. Now, it does sound like she had some underlying issues with her mother as well. I'm also unclear if her mother lives with her. Do you think her mother lives with her?
It seems like it.
It seems like her mom might live with her. But like, you know what I mean? Like, when you're beefing with one family member and then you know they're going to be around, and so you just don't go.
We're living that.
I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I ain't going. Who going to be there? Who all going to be there? I ain't going. And I don't even want to go anyway, but I was going to show up, but I ain't going.
Yeah, for me, that's the part that is like sad, and it's a lot to deal with. So I understand why she would be like, you know what, I can deal with them for 5 days on this family cruise or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I'll just keep my distance.
So what is our advice? What is she asking?
I think for me, one thing that I have learned is that boundaries are not just for other people. They're for me as well. And so when I've set boundaries for like within my familial relationships, as hard as it is, I do understand that anytime that I decide to cross over the boundary, I've put my own self in distress. It's not even so much distress, but that's the word I'm using right now. And I think for you, you have to maintain those boundaries. And it's pretty clear that you're like, hey, I love you. I want to do life with you, but I need to work through this. So we can do family therapy. We can have somebody come and help us have these conversations, or we can just not have the conversations at all. But I cannot continue to be in a relationship with someone who is going to treat me like I'm this small when you know who you are. So I just feel like stay true to what you've already put out there. I'm assuming, because we're a little late with this, that you said the child was born. Never mind. The child's born. So she's no longer pregnant. There's no longer the issues of stress or whatever. And so I would say bring it back up, like invite them to therapy again. And it sounds like your mama needs to be a part of this conversation too, but maybe even just start with the two of you guys and have those conversations that need to be had, like deal with those things, bring it out to the carpet, the table, whatever.
But, you know, sometimes that is not even going to work.
It isn't.
You know,
I mean, sometimes,
you know,
but it can.
Okay, so I think that you got to come in with realistic expectations. Like, what's the goal? You want to be together without what? Like, I don't want you guys to say these things to me. When you say this, it makes me feel like this. Can we figure out where this is coming from so I can help reframe or change some of my behaviors? Because when you ask for this therapy, everyone's stuff is going to come to the front, and then you're going to have to deal with it.
That's true.
Right? So I've been to therapy with my family, and you got something to say?
No, I just remember that time.
Yeah. I'm in the therapy with my family, and I was like, oh, cool, safe space. Oh, ah. And they were like, well, you la, right? And it was literally everybody against me, you know what I'm saying? And I just was like, well, here's the truth I believe, right? And they were upset with my truth, but they never proved me wrong. And my truth became fact, and then it's become history. You know what I'm saying? And so now I'm like, I gotta trust my gut. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you know the truth, that doesn't mean you're gonna do anything about it. That just means you want to know, right? Or you want to be able to tell me things and me hear it. But I also have things to say, you know? And so I think the goals, therapy is really important, but everybody has to be a willing participant. And then everyone has to believe the truth. Like, they have to know, like, hey, this is my experience with you, right? And then they can't lie about your experience. They can't say, well, that didn't never happen. I never threw a water bottle at you. What you talking about? Well, the water bottle wasn't thrown at her. It hit the wall. It hit the wall. And, you know,
But why was the water bottle thrown, Mom?
Yeah, like that's the type of stuff where you get gaslit in front of a therapist. Now, if you want to see yourself really deal with a spiritual attack, go to therapy with your family and have them lie on you in there. You're going to look like a nutcase. You're going to look like you're insane. Well, I thought it's not about what happened. It's about reconciliation. Nah, but this is a major point in the story here. So I would be very careful with who you really, you know what I'm saying, try to make this thing work with. Just listening to what your experience is. Now, please forgive me because this sounds very discouraging. And I'm not saying that therapy won't be helpful or, you know, the efforts toward what you're doing isn't going to be successful. I'm saying that the real person that needs therapy is you by yourself in that session, trying to figure out why this girl's opinion of you is so valuable to you. Why what she says holds any weight. And why you've allowed her to say those things to you in the beginning for so long. What therapy has done for me, I've been looking at people like, go and finish that. That's fine. I'm okay with you having a bad opinion about me. I do not care what you think. Do you know what you like? Oh man, I don't like the way you look. Have you seen the way you dress? Your eyebrows are everywhere. Don't play with me. Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's consider the source. Do you really want a good opinion from someone about you that does not care to call you, to speak to you, to check up on you? Do you really care about their opinion? I used to really care about what people thought about as my, like, fatherhood. Then I watched them parent. Hey, pardon me. No thanks. I'm good. Mm-hmm. I'm so good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We on to something different. So I would just say you need a therapy for yourself for sure. Before you try to do therapy, and this is.
And she said that. She said I went to therapy again for myself.
Oh, she did. Okay, sorry.
She's in therapy.
Yeah, keep going to that.
Yeah, I think that's really important too, is tackling, because I do believe that a therapist is able to help you put things into perspective. I will say that for my own experience, sometimes it would be nice to have the other party like just come in and like say something so that my therapist can hear it from their mouth. And then, you know, we like unpack it once they're gone. I don't know. But yeah, anywho.
Okay. How married are you?
I'm so married that I let you skip me in line for the shower this morning.
That's a really good one. That's a good one.
How married are you?
The other day, you were like, oh, I'm about to start my period any day now. Uh-huh. And I was like, man, this is interesting because usually I know it's coming because she starts acting different. You know, there's a little bit more seasoning in my interactions with Yvette. So I know it's coming. And I was like, oh man, she must this working out because she's been working out. I was like, man, working out must really, you know, be just to her mood. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go get her steak because she likes to eat steak on her first day of her period. So I was like, okay, I got like 5 steaks, y'all. I made this woman a steak. Was it chimichurri? Chimichurri steak and rice. And then I've never been treated worse. Top 3 worst. Top 3 worst experiences with the periods this time.
What?
This one was bad, man. You were mean for me to no reason. I was like, what is going on? And you know what's crazy is I was like, oh, I'm laughing. Like, I just started laughing at her because I thought it was so funny how mean she was being to me. And she was just looking at me like she hated me. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you, babe. I'm doing everything I think I know how to do. I'm running out of moves.
He was so proactive.
I found it so funny how irritated she was. And then like she just would scowl at me and I'm smiling and she's like,
because I knew he was smiling because he was suggesting that whatever I just said or did was related to the fact that I was bleeding out my vagina.
It was the thing.
And I didn't like this knowing look on his face. And so I scowled. And that's just how married we are.